Earlier I alluded to that the intercepts of a parabola would be slightly different from intercepts of a linear equation. I alluded to the fact that the parent equation of a parabola has only one intercept, but I told you that it would be different as the parabola changed slightly. The y-intercept is a point where the parabola crosses the y-axis. It occurs when x is equal to 0. In this graph, can you identify the y-intercept? The y-axis, remember, is that vertical line up and down. So this y-intercept would be located right here. At this point, this is where the x value is equal to 0. There's 1, 2. So when x is equal to 0, your y value up here is at positive 1. So the y-intercept, remember an intercept is a point, so its coordinates would be when x is equal to 0, y is equal to positive 1. That's the y-intercept. Therefore, when you substitute x for 0 into the equation of any parabola, notice that you're always going to be multiplying some number by 0 except for your c value. So your c value is always your y-intercept. The y-intercept of quadratic is always your c value. So there's your y-intercept, 0, 1. So let's try that with some questions. If you have the parabola right here of 2x squared plus 4x minus 8, the y-intercept then would be at, well, what's our c value? Negative 8. So the y-intercept would be at 0, negative 8. Pretty simple. Focus question 2 even includes the graph. If you look on the graph, we can see our y-intercept is right here at the negative 6. Or you can notice that your c value is negative 6. So your y-intercept is at 0, negative 6. Easy so far. Let's take a look at a third example. Alright, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. Your c value is at negative 3. So your y-intercept is always 0, and whatever your c value is. X-intercept is the point or points where a parabola crosses the x-axis. It usually occurs when y is equal to 0, or it does occur when y is equal to 0. Not usually, it always does, when y is equal to 0. So notice that when y is equal to 0, that's your x-axis line. So that's this line right here. On this line, where does the graph cross right there? Well, it actually is crossing at 2 points, right here and right here. Therefore, your x-intercepts, there could be 2. So one of our intercepts is at, this is when y is equal to 0. Y is equal to 0, x is equal to, I see a negative 4, and I also see a, well, at 0. So your x-intercepts are negative 4, 0, and 0, 0. Let's take a look at another one. What are the x-intercepts of the quadratic graph to the right? I see it crossing at positive 2 and at positive 5. So your x-intercepts when y is equal to 0, your x-intercepts are at, oops, put that back. Okay, so here is one of your x-intercepts at positive 2, and your other one is right here at positive 6. Questions on the ECA will ask you to put it all together or ask for all those elements. So they'll give you a graph like this and maybe even the equation to go with it. And they will ask you, what is the vertex? And is it the maximum or minimum? We'll take a look at this graph. Is that the maximum or minimum? The vertex is located right here. because it's at the lowest point, it's the minimum. And what is the coordinates of that point for that vertex? It's at x of 1 and y of -4. Then they'll ask you, what is the axis of symmetry? Well, if that's the vertex always separates the vertex always separates or is always on the axis of symmetry. So there's our axis of symmetry. It looks like it's at +1. So our axis of symmetry is x is equal to 1. Ask what is the y-intercept? Well, that's where the line crosses the x-axis. Or I'm sorry, the y-axis. So right here, let me change pen color so you can see where I'm coloring in at. Right here. It's where it crosses the y-axis. So our y-intercept is at when x is equal to 0, y is equal to -3. Sorry, my pen kind of covered up the number there. And what are the x-intercepts? The x-intercepts are where it crosses the x-axis, or in other words, where y is equal to 0. There's 2 of them. So when y is equal to 0, x is equal to -1 and +3. Let's see if you can answer them all on this one. What is the vertex? Well, it's this point right here. Oops, there we go. Finally got to draw it there. The vertex is right there. It's at the highest point of parabola, so it is a maximum. The coordinates for that is at -2, 1. Remember, you always write your x coordinate first before your y. The axis of symmetry goes through that vertex at -2. Because it's a vertical line, you have to write x is equal to the number where it crosses, it goes through at -2. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where it crosses on the y-axis. So right here at -3. So that's when x is equal to 0, y is equal to -3. And our x-intercepts is where the 2 points where the graph crosses the y-axis, or I'm sorry, the x-axis. So that's when y is equal to 0, x is equal to -3, and at -1. Okay. If we didn't have the graph, then we'd have to obviously use the a, b, and c value in our equations to figure out your axis of symmetry, minimum, maximum, all those values. Alright, it's your turn to go on to your independent practices.